All right, we're all here. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome everyone to the June 24th business meeting, the Grosse Ile Township Board of Trustees. Call the meeting to order at 7:42. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, once again, welcome everyone who's here. You're watching at home. We have the entire board present. We're going to conduct business as usual. At this time, I'm going to ask for additions or deletions to tonight's agenda, and I'm going to add the first one. I'm going to request that the board add consent agenda number 3, the 33rd District Court Annual Financial Report to the consent agenda.
Support.
Okay, any discussion on that? It's just business. Okay, those in favor of adding to the consent agenda, item number 3, the 33rd District Court Annual Financial Report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. That will be added. Mr. Treasurer?
Yes, I'd like to add action item number 2, which is a bid award for Building 63 subdivide and the Building 6162 renovation.
Support.
Okay, moved by the Treasurer, seconded by Trustee Budney. Any discussion among the board on adding this to the action items? Okay, with none offered, those in favor of adding action item number 2, the bid award for Building 63 subdivide and 6162 reno, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
But that motion carries. That will be added. Other additions, deletions to tonight's agenda? Okay, with none offered, those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The agenda stands as amended. At this time, we'll open to presentations. Mr. Novak.
Hello, everybody.
Aye, Chad.
Hi, Chad.
Good evening, and I'm here to give you an update and the public about the festival that we had a couple of weeks ago. I'll touch on a couple of things. We did really good with our vendors in the hangar. We had 64 vendors and exhibitors in the hangar. We had a total of 10 extra food vendors out here. The fireworks, as everybody knows, we got a little weather on Saturday, so we moved the fireworks to Sunday night. And we like to thank the carnivals for staying open late that night because it helped generate revenue. A few of the food vendors stayed longer, so that was really nice. The reason we did the fireworks on Saturday night the past couple of years is we just felt people were being rushed on Friday to get home from work. The kids are still in school, and then they have to rush down here. Obviously, it will go to a vote. I'm pretty sure they're going to move them back to Friday night. But, I mean, we can't control the weather. So, that being said, it turned out pretty good for us for the numbers. The carnival was a huge hit with mostly everybody being out on the runway. For the 10 years I've been on this commission, I've been trying to get it out on the runway, and it took an act of nature to make it happen. So it was either put them on the runway, and thank you for the ones that did help make that happen over there. Can you hear me okay? I usually don't have a problem. Right? And with that being said, the parade, we are working on applications and things, not just for exhibitors and vendors and the parade that are like 30 to 35 years old. We know some things have been brought to our attention. We're going to update those as needed. I mean, like I said, these forms are from back when we had one person in the parade, maybe, and a politician. Go figure. Anyways, so we will address those and update the forms that we use for the parade. Right, Kim? I guess one of the things everybody wants to know is the numbers. Even with the nasty weather on Saturday, let's remember Friday was beautiful from 4 until close. The first 4 or 5 hours Saturday were great, and Sunday was amazing. So when we have like a foam party and a petting zoo, and Mr. Friel, I'm sorry that your office smelled like that after that petting zoo left, but we'll make sure we move that next year. We have, it cost about $66,000 to throw that event. We budgeted $62,400. You said $62,500, so we got a couple different ones. It cost about $66,000 to throw the event. We brought in a little over $79,000. So there's still a couple bills laid out there, but we have roughly $10,000, a little bit of change to work with for the next event we do. One thing I'd like to say is I know there were some comments about the weather and the mud and we should have done this and should have done that. You can always come and volunteer. We're always looking for volunteers. Don't think because we are taking off July and August, we're not looking to get something going for next year. Please come and volunteer. If you have something, come to the festival meeting the third Wednesday of the month. Come to the rec meeting the fourth Thursday of the month. Or go to GI Connect and it will tell you when all those meetings are. All of you. So, that being said, one of the best quotes I heard was from a mother that said, Friday night, my kids were covered in foam and bubbles from the foam party. On Saturday, my kids were covered in mud from the mud. And by Sunday, my kids had made memories for a lifetime. So, thank you so much. And I know there's a question about next year's event. We will be doing something. It will always be the weekend after Memorial Weekend. So, that being said, any questions from anybody?
You've got Skirbeck locked in for...
We haven't signed anything yet.
Get them locked in.
They have 3 stipulations. One is that they're on the runway. 2 is that it's always after Memorial Weekend. And Kim, what was the third one? I forgot what the third.
There was this too, and they, they're concerned about the bridge issues and so forth, trying to get those big rides over. And that's kind of the scary part for us as a commission and trying to produce this type of event. If that bridge is down for a certain amount of time, how do we...
Kim, come on up here for a minute because I think the public wants to hear this too.
Yeah, that is a good point because when they're working on it, we won't know, too much in advance.
So when Chad and I met with them on the carnival itself and just, he had brought those issues up and it's always touch and go and you get information when it's handed to you as well. So, I think that's the hard part for us is, yes, we want to bring Island Fest back for sure. We can do all of these great things, keep the tradition going, but the biggest revenue source for this event is the carnival. I think it was close to...
It was almost $20,000.
$20,000.
$19,666 off the midway this year. Last year we made $23,000.
Right.
But if you were not bringing big rides, that's going to have a big...
That'll have an impact on the budget, so...
Is it just because of the Parkway Bridge? Can we make an arrangement with the toll bridge company to get these rides over, or are they as restricted as the...
Some of the rides are 50 tons.
Yeah.
They can't get over the toll bridge either.
Tell anybody.
Who, me?
But and it's a concern. So and they're breaking trucks up. They're doing all those types of things just to get things over safely and so forth. So as the commission, we all met. We definitely want to keep their tradition going, but we know we've got some roadblocks because we do have to make a commitment with Skirbeck very soon. He would like that commitment by July, which is, I think it was the end of July.
It was July 1st, or he went to September. He
September,
said July 1st,
right.
Perfect thought.
And then the same with the fireworks. That contract has expired as well, so we would have to, put that in place. And I think regardless, fireworks are just a township or a city tradition. I know that's something we can continue to do for sure. And again, we plan to put those fireworks back on Friday night. Those are the types of things we met as a commission last week and discussed and locked some things down. So
the rain day can be Saturday then.
Pardon me?
Rain day can be Saturday.
That is correct.
And we've had Island Fests where we've had to downsize the carnival for whatever reason for 1 year, but maybe not cancel the carnival, just change. If we're worried about bridge issues, change it for that 1 year.
Well, the money won't be coming in, and that's what I'm looking at. With the soccer tournament across the street, I have people debating me about this, but there's hundreds and hundreds of kids over there that want to come and drop some coin on these rides. And every 4 years, Skirbeck has a contract with Owasso, Michigan. Is it? And so we lose 4 big rides every 4 years. This is stuff that I know as a chairman. You guys really don't need to worry about this, but the teenagers are going to get out there and they're going to be like, where's the Himalaya? Where's the Gravitron? And then when we have to come to the general fund and ask for money to fund this event, that was money to fund this event, it would be... we've actually showed some working capital the past 3 or 4 years.
But and I appreciate that. I do. And I've served on that commission where we've had all those issues come up. But what I guess what I also want to weigh that with is the community service side of it. That not everything we do every time has to be a big money maker, even if we can just break even to provide the service that the community is looking forward to. You know, one of the reasons they support rec, one of the reasons they support the festival and so forth is because it provides this opportunity for everyone to get together. They see other benefits that one year we could argue.
I was here when it was closed from May to December, the bridge, and we had a festival. But when you say about the community, I'd like the community to know that we had 106 volunteer spots. We had 12 people sign up.
Oh, my goodness.
And that thing was up since January. And we promoted it at every meeting. I mean, I know Kim and I said things here. I promoted festival meeting, which is televised, rec meeting that is televised. And, I mean, when you have barely double-digit numbers and you have 106 slots.
And that's not widely known either.
Well, how can we get that word out? It's everywhere.
But what I'm saying is it's important for people to know that, you know, we all love the festival, and yet we're not there to volunteer.
Right.
Now, I know there are people that are out of town. You know, I've been out of town for 9 years because of rowing, and this year it happened to be an illness in the family. But everyone has that time. But there, you know, we've always had at least 25 volunteers. I don't think we've ever had big numbers.
And when you were on the board, this was before we had the website.
12 is low.
Yeah, it's
that is very low.
So, and people with social media these days are more apt to go out there and jump all over you and tell you what you're not doing right and what's wrong and this and that. But it's the one that comes up and says the thing about the bubbles and the other lady, I have 3 kids. I had the little one with me, and the other 2 I only saw when they wanted money. You know, that kind of stuff. That's what makes it fun. So, but we want to thank the police, the fire guys. Oh, Duncan's here now.
And our volunteers.
Duker, how'd you get those trucks across that bridge, those tanks? Those are lightweight. Oh, are they? Oh, they're made out of paper mache. Gotcha. Wink, wink. All right.
But just in closing, you know, I want to thank the commission. And again, obviously, we increased that commission for a reason. Everyone was questioning, why did we go to 11? We need those 11 people because the volunteers are starting to fall. And our commission, you know, stepped up to the plate to help out. I mean, you probably saw all of us running around, you know, on scooters and John Deeres and things that we do. But again, we are going to definitely plan something for next year. We want to continue that tradition. I know there's some rumors out there, there's no Island Fest, and kids are flipping out going, wait, we need to have that. They're calling you and coming to me, and you know, but we will be seeking some assistance, you know, from the general fund. Hopefully not a lot. You know, we've been pretty self-sufficient,
yeah.
And you know, we just want to be prepared if we can't get those rides over for some reason, because that is our number one revenue maker for this event. And I just want to kind of close with that. So. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
and next
Chad.
year will be May 29, 3031.
Yeah. Mr. Nelson.
Chad, I was the one that removed that $5,000 number 2 years ago from the festival.
Was it just you, or was that a vote?
I don't remember, but again, that was when we were in a deficit, and
Yeah.
you know, but we could. Obviously, you've been making money. That's not our intent, as Uta said, but if you want, I'll entertain a motion at some time to put it back in there. If there's bridge issues, we're going to have issues, and we're going to have to deal with whatever. We don't even know what's going to happen.
Remember, the $10,000 barely pays for a tent and a band, let alone porta potties and tables and chairs and all that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's working capital year for year. But thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right.
And Chad, you and
That's
Kim,
on record.
I can't thank everybody enough that volunteered, and you and Kim are unbelievable. And Mike Duker, thanks for the last minute change to cement versus a mud hole. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. I have a party to get to. Thank you.
Okay. Of course you do.
Of course you do. Okay. All right, with that, now that we're all in a reasonably good mood, brief public comment on tonight's agenda items. Mr. Clark.
Woody Clark, Clark Lane. Legal fees, please. legal fees to
Yeah.
foster law, the amount of $2,375. Oh, Jeff Forrester Law in the amount of $2,375.
An award is shirt just for you, Loftus.
Thank you. Somebody's thinking about me. Okay. Any other public comment? Okay. With that, let's move on to consent agenda. Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you, Brian. Look for a motion to approve consent agenda 19-021, which is the meeting of the June 10th, 2019 regular meeting. Check registers dated through June 21st, 2019, and the 33rd District Court budget.
Support.
Okay, moved by the Treasurer, seconded by Trustee Budney. Those in favor of approving the consent agenda as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None offered. That's approved. Let's move on to tonight's action items. Number one, Mr. Budney.
Yes, sir. I'd like to propose a motion that the board, Township Board, authorize adjustment to water and sewer rates of 2.96% per quarter as displayed on the water bill comparison, which was attached to your packet, effective July 1st, 2019.
Support.
Okay, moved by Trustee Budney, seconded by Treasurer Van Oss for the rate adjustment.
And I'm going to
turn it over to
Ann to
I'm just going to read it.
run it. This is our annual adjustment that we talk about every year.
Yep.
With that, Ann.
We look at the rates every year, and we do analyze them for an adjustment to cover our operating costs and our capital maintenance costs. So, since 2010, DWSD, which is now Great Lakes Water Authority, establishes a fixed monthly cost recovery to cover usage decline and revenue shortfall for the wholesale customers. Groseal's new fixed monthly charge went down. From $67,300 to $56,400, which resulted in a 16.2% decrease. The billed price per MCF, which is what I don't know what that is, but decreased from 13.04 to 11.23, which is a 13.88% decrease. Did you notice I was saying decrease when all these instead of increases? The overall proposed decrease imposed by Great Lakes Water Authority is 13.99% less than the previous year. The decrease resulted from the recent signage of the Great Lakes Water Authority contract. Remember, that contract was outstanding for the longest time. They were billing us based on our usage, and we were paying an additional fee because we were not signing the contract. So actually, our water rates went down to Groseal Township from the Great Lakes Water Authority, again, by almost 14%. However, the actual increase for the water portion would just be a true standard increase across the board was 1.6% increase. So even though we were still getting charged, all the communities around were still getting an increase. Ours was 1.6%, but our overall cost went down due to the signage of the Great Lakes Water Authority. So it did make a difference by signing that contract. And so annually, we look at the water and sewer rates. We adjust them accordingly to cover operations, maintenance, the water distribution, the operation and maintenance of the wastewater treatment plant, bond payments, equipment purchases, and capital improvements. Water rates we're keeping the same at 11.18% per gallon. Sewer rates are proposed to increase from 3.60 per thousand gallons to 4.16 per thousand gallons based on the water bill comparison. This will reflect an average increase of $14 per quarter, or 2.96% based on a 25,000 gallons per quarter. Again, even though in total the water rates went down due to that signage, when we went through the budget, there were extensive capital maintenance that needed to be done at the wastewater treatment plant, that we needed to raise the sewer rates to maintain those capital improvements. And there's also a large capital improvements that are being mandated by the state of Michigan. So in the treatment plant, there are a lot of different changes that have happened, and even though the water rates went down, we felt that it'd be necessary to raise the rates 2.96% to cover those major increases over the next several years.
Okay, and I don't think we're done seeing mandates coming down from the
Right.
state.
They're coming down almost
Upper rule
weekly.
changes, yeah, we can expect more.
And from the sewer standpoint, I don't believe we have changed the sewer rate. Early 2000s.
Correct.
Was the last time a sewer rate was changed. So, and again, we have the capital improvements, most of which are mandated by the state, unfunded by the state, and this is the easiest way on the residents to pay for it. There's no other way around it. We could have looked at some other ways of getting that money, but this way it's the least painful, I think. And that's certainly what our commission thought. Thanks, Ann.
Other questions, comments for Ms. Starzniak?
Well, and if I understand correctly, user fees are the ways that we pay for these improvements.
That's what we.
The only way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's no other way to do
Yeah.
it.
Okay, any other comments on, if none, then the action is to recommend to the Township Board to authorize adjustment. Those in favor of authorizing adjustment to the water and sewer rates of 2.96 per quarter as displayed on the water bill comparison attached in the package, effective July 1st, 2019, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None offered? That will move on, and we will get things fixed. Action item number 2. Mr. Van Oss.
Thank you, Supervisor. Based on the recommendation from the Airport Commerce Park Manager and the Grosse Ile Airport Commerce Park Commission, the Grosse Ile Township Board hereby authorizes the Building 63 subdivide and 61 and 62 renovation contract to D&G Construction in the amount of $862,830. And SealTech Insulation Company in the amount of $158,375 for a grand total of $1,021,203. $700,000 of this, which will be funded through an internal loan program from the township, with the remaining $321,203 coming from the Airport Commerce Park capital reserves. The airport manager and the township manager are authorized to execute these contracts.
Support.
Okay, moved by Treasurer Van Oss, seconded by Trustee Budney.
Brian, just a minute.
Can I just make a simple amendment to put at a rate of 3.5% for 18 years in the motion?
Yeah, that's it, 3%.
Yeah, that might be a good idea to add that.
Yes, let's get that. Okay, $700,000 shall be funded from an internal loan at 3.5%.
For 18 years, yep.
Through the township with the remaining 321, et cetera. So
And there would be no penalty for them to pay it off early.
okay. Now, are there any? How much more do we want to review? We just finished this with the board. We have people present who were not there. How much do we want to peel back that onion? Or are we prepared to just go ahead as a board?
No, I have some comments to make.
Okay. Mr. Malvesto.
Oh, I was going to say we should probably have Mike do a short presentation for the public because our study session wasn't televised.
It's not published. So, Mr. Duker, can you give just a quick presentation on why we are where we are?
Yeah, so a quick summary.
Synopsis, yeah.
That item again.
So
just
the
give me 1 second.
pictures, the rationale.
Yep. Give me 1 second. All right, go ahead, thank you.
Mr. Duker.
Just try to skim through this and give a summary. We reviewed this in our study session. The project that is before you today is Building 63 subdivision and 6162 repurpose. So those buildings both facilities are in our Commerce Park here, but are tied in with the airport in the enterprise fund. The overall goal is to successfully develop more flexible in-demand units inside of Building 63 in the Commerce Park while relocating the existing storage operation that we have in Building 63 into 6162. That's actually a larger facility to give them some more room as well. The other part of the goal is to establish a more diversified, stable revenue stream that will help secure the airport and Commerce Park long term and really help diversify how we're making money and make it a little more stable is the goal. Gave a history of this. The commission and myself have really been working on this for the last 6 years, pretty much since I've been here. The summary is that we've been waiting for a large bond payment of roughly $80,000 per year to mature. That happened in 2018, which is why this is before you now. We've been working on the plans diligently over the winter time, and we feel they're ready for approval by the board. The why, we covered some of this. We have 2 very large warehouses. We feel the market change, the demand for smaller units, and some of the restrictions that we're going to continue seeing on the bridge, we really want to gear towards kind of changing the purpose of these 2 facilities. So again, that goal is viable opportunity to generate additional funds for the airport and Commerce Park. Aerial of the 2 buildings, I'm sure the residents would notice if they drive down Meridian Road, you can see Building 63 on your right-hand side. 6162 is kind of more of the frontage building that's on Grill Road and Meridian intersection there. We've tried to dress up that corner with some landscaping over the years. You'll notice the addition of the signage, the saluting sailor that we added there, as well as some new trees last year from a county grant. So we're kind of doing some you guys have seen that as well, our landscaping master plan that we've been working on that kind of ties in with this project in the long run. There's a schematic view of both facilities, just a breakdown of that. The how, again, developed 8 units initially between 1,700 and 2,100 square feet. We covered how to, basically the goal is to keep them very flexible units, have adequate power, 14 by 14 foot overhead doors, so we can accommodate a wide range of uses and options for businesses. And then obviously to have all the infrastructure be upgradable, so if we want to build out, if the 8 units are successful, we can easily build out the rest of the facility to accommodate more demand. That was a schematic displayed for the 8 units that we're hoping to build inside 63. Again, as I described earlier, it's a heavy demolition project, mostly stuff left behind from previous tenant. And then division of the walls and utilities is the bulk of the infrastructure upgrades. We definitely want, as noted, the heavy utilities fully subdivided and metered separately. 6162, where we would like to move the storage into, again, basic repairs. We need to repair the electrical fire from a few years ago. The electrical system that had that fire was way overpowered for what we need in the facility. So we're going to step that down to a much more manageable, easier to maintain unit. Updated all the furnaces in the facility to keep it at 50 degrees during the wintertime for that storage. The box furnaces in there are from 60s and 70s, and a few don't work. So then the one big headache that's been a constant battle in that facility is the roof. The metal roof that's there is in need of a new coating, so we need to keep it watertight, especially if we're going to be storing high-end vehicles and motorhomes and those things in there that someone's paying for heated storage. So overall, most of the build-outs in Building 63, 61, 62 is kind of minor refurbishments to repurpose the facility. It's a schematic of where the heaters and the new electrical go. I noted the gray area in the front's the office space. So the budget, which was just made a motion, the airport utilized a $700,000 internal loan for 18 years from the township. That payment equals about $53,000. The bond we just had matured is about $80,000. We've had that bond, the current bond that we paid off since 2004. The payments go back further than that. So the point there is that basically the airport's demonstrated it can cover the expense of this loan even if we fall flat on our face or are unable to lease any of the facilities in the development. And then the other note there that it's budgeted this fiscal year on the township and on the airport Commerce Park end. So we talked about the interest rates. The WHO, the Airport Commerce Park Commission, as we noted, Chairman and Treasurer Van Oss and I and the whole commission have been working really hard on this all winter. with Cernak and Associates being the architect on the project. And then the low bidders for both D&G Construction out of Taylor and Seal Tech out of Ypsi, Belleville area will be doing the roof coatings. So those are their 2 contractors for the project. I think that was it.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
So while you're up there, we had some Jesse Modesto had some questions or commentary.
I will do my best.
Well, first off, it's obvious you spent time, you've done a lot of work on this.
Sure.
I know you're asking the board for permission to go ahead with this project, and I really don't have a problem with that. The problem I've got is $700,000 alone. I believe, Ms. Darznak, we have something about just over $2 million.
Yeah, 2.4 in the bank.
$2.4 million. So we're going to take $700,000 of that $2.4 million and commit it to the enterprise zone for a period of 18 years at 3% or 3.5%.
3.5, yep.
The going rate would be 6%. So why would I leave as a township? Why would I leave money on the table? Why would I accept 3.5%? Why not? Why wouldn't I expect 6%? That's just a question. All right. The enterprise zone is exactly that. It's totally separate from Grosse Seal, from the township. Not one penny of revenue that's generated by what takes place here, either through the airport or through the Commerce Park, goes into the general fund. And again, we're going to be taking $700,000 away for 18 years, and I realize it'll be paid back. But we've just passed a motion, actually, an action item in regards to our water bill. Even though our water rates went down because of mandated improvements we have to do to the wastewater treatment, which affects 10,000 people on Grosse Seal. All right, we have to raise our water rates, and it was also stated that they're coming at us on a weekly basis. Mandates are coming at us on a weekly basis. To go under a $2 million safety fund, I think is irresponsible. I look at it as, again, the enterprise zone. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
I just think that taking money away from out of the general fund is irresponsible. Our last meeting, Clerk O'Connor made a statement that the residents of this township expect us to oversee their tax dollars in a reasonable and responsible way. Personally, I think this would be irresponsible. There are other things on this island that this money could go to. I would use the example of Church Road. For 180 school days every year, buses run up and down that road. There are hundreds of children that ride school buses twice a day on Church Road. And we all know that it's probably the most dangerous road on the island when it comes to that. Although the road belongs to Wayne County, they managed to roll over one of their salt trucks this past winter in the ditch. I could only vision a school bus full of children as opposed to that orange salt truck. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. I could see taking $1 million out of the account that Ann Darznak just told us about and using it to repave Church Road. That would be an investment to the health and safety of our school children and other people and the residents of this island. I'm just opposed to, again, when you have the ability to go out and borrow the money from an institution, as you have in the past, I don't have a problem with that. I just can't see reducing our rainy day fund by $700,000 when there are far more important things that are addressed to. I'm talking about 10,000 people who live on Grosse Seal in this township, not the airport, which for the most part, yeah, it's down here. We all know it's down here, but it doesn't, because there's none of the revenue generated goes to the general fund. It does not benefit me as a resident. There's no direct benefit to me. As a new road, Church Road, for example, would be a benefit to every school child that goes to the Park Lane Elementary School. So I'm going to be opposed to this. I may be the only one, but those are my reasonings. Sure. You guys have done a great job. God bless you.
Appreciate that.
Ann, I just want to ask Ann, with this, if we were to pass this and the $700,000 comes out, and obviously our 2.4 goes down. How does that?
I mean, the 2.4 becomes a receivable. So it's really not, it's your physical cash. Your fund balance is going to be the same.
Your
liquidity will go down. Right.
So we're not
going to report, right, I'm not going to report a loss, but the liquidity goes down.
Weren't we talking this morning about what is supposed to, what they'd like to see?
Right.
And we're way above that.
We're about 41%, 25% is
25% is what they look to, and we're at 41%. So we are still in the...
And I believe, in the scheme of things, the 18 years does seem scary, but we're predicting zero revenue. We can always push up payments when he's bringing in revenue, and that's what I feel is the way that would be the financial thing to do, is not carry it out for 18 years. As he has extra money, obviously I'm going to pay that down, because there is no restriction of when we pay it. Obviously, with their bond, you have call periods. You cannot pay more. You cannot pay it off. This is something that's going to be very flexible, and if there's money to be had, believe me, I'll start pulling it back to the general fund. So it's not.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Ann, but that's fine. That's fine right now. But 2 years down the road, when none of this board is sitting here, and there's a completely different board, and they're looking at it completely different. I realize it's 2 years down the road. You can't. There's no crystal ball. But still, just like you're talking about with the water bill and water lines and this and that and the other thing, there are major things that are coming before this township, and to reduce that rainy day fund by $700,000, I just find it irresponsible. And anybody who would vote to reduce it by $700,000 it's irresponsible.
I have a quick question. Maybe this is Mr. Assorti or Ann. Can we use that rainy day fund to repair Church Road?
It's discretionary. You can do whatever you want.
Discretionary, right?
Yeah.
But to do road repairs, basically what we look for is a millage, and we take that out to the voters. And we took that out to the voters, and the voters turned it down twice. So we do have a sense of instruction from the members of our community who vote as to what services and things they're looking for. I support this because we have to maintain the airport. We made a commitment to maintain this site and this facility, and for the foreseeable future that this loan is in place, we'll be earning essentially almost 2.5% more interest than what we are generally allowed to do. So I think also we're creating workspaces that we know through the diligence and homework of the Commerce Park Commission and other elements of the township that resident businesses are looking for. So we're going to be able to fulfill a need. So I think this is responsible on our part.
If I may, just the 2 points I wanted to add in kind of, from a big picture standpoint, you're going to be catering to local residents for the business aspect, as you mentioned. You're also going to be generating tax revenue for the schools, the county, and the township. So there is a growth aspect that's a bigger picture and a benefit to, the public here. In terms of the bond stuff, we looked at a bond payment. Again, I mentioned that in the study session. I made 6 to 7% interest, and it's about a $50,000 setup fee. And when you look at it at the end of the day, the airport and the township are separate, but we're still one and the same. So if the commission were to go out for a bond, the township is ultimately, if you were to approve that, the township is ultimately responsible for that bond. So we looked at this as a way that benefits the township on more levels than one in terms of revenue and the public, and it saves the airport some funds, and it makes the project a little more palatable.
We spent $1 million to roads over here in Commerce Park that was supposed to attract new business and new development. And other than a turnover of leasees of existing buildings, there's been no new development because of that those roads. Now, it may benefit the parents who take their kids to soccer games or football practice, that sort of thing, sure. But it has not developed. It has not attracted any additional business onto the Commerce Park section or the airport for that matter.
Other comments?
Brian, I'd like to add one thing.
Fletcher.
I've lived on this island all of my life. I was 10 years old when the Navy base closed. I watched the swimming pool that I learned to swim in that was abandoned for all intents and purposes, collapsed for lack of revenue. The township had spent a good 35 to 40 years struggling to keep this airport in a position where it was viable. There was a lot of money that went into the township. There's been a lot of equity, a lot of hard work by your commission, by people that are involved, and this is essentially a financial question for me. And that is, what is safety? Safety is the township owns the property, the township owns the buildings. What was the market analysis that was done? When we spoke earlier, you indicated that the rents that we are anticipating, contemplating, are below market with some of the other buildings in the area off island, and that we do have 3 tenants that are very, very interested, potential tenants, that want to come in. We have a list of a half a dozen others, some of them that already do work on the island here, and this would be a good fit for them that want to come in. This isn't a build the roads, or in the vernacular Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. This is something where you have a market niche that has not been met, has not been filled, and this is an opportunity for us to expand the viability of the airport, get away from that 35-year history when we were on a very thin line, and now we can move forward with some real financial backing. I look at the number here that is the most impressive to me, the second number, the first being the number of tenants and the willingness to come here, and that is the second one is your return on investment. When I have clients that come to me and say, Mr. Bletcher, what do you think about this project? I'll look at them and say, how are you going to pay it back? It's not a 30-year mortgage that we all have with our homes, our principal residence. This is a business decision. The amount of return on our capital right now is 3.5 times what TED can do for us through the state of Michigan. 3.5 times is a significant number. That is money we can put into other township projects. At the same time, we have an ability to expand the financial base of the airport, where your operations and the work that your commission does now has some fruits that they're reaping from all of those hard times for the last 50 years. I don't understand that there is a better use of the money that we have. It is a loan. It is not a gift. It's going to be repaid every year.
Correct.
And you have a demonstrated ability with a $58,000 commitment when you've just come off of an $80,000 annual commitment. I look at that. I look at the fact that the Water's Edge bond is going to be going off in approximately 2025. This building bond is coming off in another couple of years, 2024, I believe. Those are exciting things. That's financial progress. That's what you get when you make solid investments in the community and solid investment in your capital and your plant. And our plant is this airport. And $1 million, with all due respect, if you were to put $1 million into Church Road, Jim, you know the figures better than I do. What is that, maybe a half a mile? 3/4 of a mile?
Actually,
About a mile.
our whole project was a little over $1 million on that.
You're talking about from Meridian to East River, roughly.
Yes.
Roughly.
Yes.
And this is an opportunity for us to have financial footing and a financial basis going forward, because after 7.5, 8 years or sooner, maybe a little bit later, this is paid off. We're back to our 2.4, and we have an ongoing stream of cash coming into the township. Commerce Park.
Yep.
Thank you. Mr. Treasurer.
I just need to correct one of Tom's misstatements. The township will realize $255,000 in profit through that interest. So it's not like we're not going to get anything. And if we were to pay this out without it coming back, the reality is we're going to utilize these funds in over 18 years or 19 years. I think 18 years was the contract term. We'll put $955,000 back at Township. So something does come back, and
Absolutely.
that's why we're doing what we're doing.
All right, other comments on this? Otherwise, let's move on to a vote. Okay, so those in favor of, based on the recommendation from the Airfield Commerce Park Manager, the Grosse Ile Airport Commerce Park Commission, the Grosse Ile Township Board awards the Building 63 subdivide and Building 61, 62 renovation contracts to D&G Construction in the amount of $862,830 and Seal Tech Insulating in the amount of $158,373 for a total of $1,021,203. $700,000 shall be funded from an internal loan at 3.5% interest over 18 years through the township, with the remaining $321,203 coming from the airport's capital reserves. The airport manager and township manager are authorized to execute the contracts. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Duker.
Thank you.
Concluding tonight's action items, we'll move on to
as received to this point were mailed today in bulk, and obviously if you would still like an absentee ballot for the August 6th election, contact the clerk's office. You can call or email and come in person. July 22nd is the last day to register to vote for the August 6th election in any manner other than in person with the local clerk. So if you want to register by mail, etc., you have to do it by July 22nd. Brian, anything else you'd like to add? Okay. And that's it for the clerk's report.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you, Brian. For the month of May, Grosse Ile Township had $12,544,548 invested in various accounts. These accounts generated $17,773 at an average interest rate of 1.52%. All 2018 unpaid real property taxes are considered delinquent and must now be paid through Wayne County. Wayne County letters requesting payment for delinquent taxes have been mailed to the property owners. Delinquent tax information and options for payment are available online at the Wayne County website, or call Annette at the Township Treasurer's Office, and she'll walk you through it. The Treasurer's Office is currently working with our printer. The summer property tax session is expected to be mailed out in July, first part of July. I don't have anything else.
Take your time on those taxes.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Trustee reports, liaisons. Mr. Budney.
Thank you, sir. Next DPS meeting is July 9th, Tuesday, here in the boardroom at 7 o'clock. Much to no one's surprise, no ZBA meeting this month. Our next Q&A session will be in July 24th. It's the fourth Wednesday. And just in case, I got a letter from, it was just signed as a Grosse Ile resident, and if that Grosse Ile resident is listening, the three properties you asked me to look into have been taken care of. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Budney. Mr. Malvesto.
I have nothing tonight.
Okay. Mr. Nelson.
Thanks, Brian. I'd like to bring Ms. LaFarrell up, as usual, for a recreation report. Thank you.
Good evening. Just a couple announcements. The next Community Recreation Commission meeting is this Thursday at 6 p.m. And again, I could talk all night about what's happening with the summer events and so forth, but I did have a couple residents ask, where do we list the concert series? That's one of our most popular summer events. Everything is in the profile. It's on the Connect app. It's also on the Facebook page. So I just wanted to respond to the resident that was, a couple asked where that was. So, and then also, I just want to reach out to our senior citizens. Our senior luncheon is coming up, which is July 2nd, and that's going to be our cookout at the farm. So if you would like to come to that. And also, we are offering free transportation to pick up all our seniors. We'll be using, actually, we're going to get in operation the new bus. So we're going to have that up and running for the first time on the senior luncheon. And then we'll be using, obviously, the small transit bus. And I'd like to thank GI Lift for helping out with that. So we don't want our seniors sitting at home. If you need transportation for the senior luncheon, we can definitely get you out of the house that day and enjoy a nice meal with our community at the farm. So I wanted to, a lot of seniors are watching tonight, so call us, make a reservation so we can plan how we're going to pick everybody up on July 2nd. So, and then also to our seniors, the Senior Olympics registrations are still coming in. This is a pretty popular program. It's being hosted by Southgate this year. The Senior Olympics is July 22nd through the 26th. And let me put this up.
Upper right.
There you go.
And for those of you that don't know what this is, I learned about it obviously the first year I was here in 2017. It's really a week of Olympic events, you know, not the true Olympic events, but pickleball, golf. We are actually, Grosse Ile is the host of the ping pong. There's bocce ball, there's swimming, there's kayak. And just being part of this for 2 years, and I wanted to actually host it, but I don't have the facilities on the island to be able to host all those events. But we have a strong ping pong group that meets at the farm, so we are the host of the ping pong. And so for seniors that, if you're not sure about this, give me a call, stop in. It's a great week. I'm running back and forth, you know, helping our seniors that week and so forth. So just wanted to touch base on that. And then our next concert is this Thursday. Remington Taylor is playing at 7 p.m. at Smokies and Water's Edge. And we did have, everyone says, well, is the concert going to go with the rain? Obviously, we're dealing with the rain and all sorts of things with our outdoor venues and so forth. But the concerts are rain. We move forward because the bands are under the shelter at on my side of the venue. So, and obviously, if there's a thunderstorm, tornado, those types of things, we would cancel the event. But we do run the concerts, rain or shine, at 7 p.m. every Thursday. So, and we had quite a few people last Thursday. I was there, and we had some diehards sitting out there. It looked like tonight, like it was going to rain. But, you know, we're getting through that. So, and I just want to address the marina. I know there's been a lot of questions about what's going on at the marina. Obviously, the high water and the rain is not very helpful in the business that I do. So, and I know I've talked to a couple of trustees in reference to what the plan is. About a week and a half ago, I think it was, Dale, myself, the fire chief, and two electricians were on site. We had to meet to figure out what was happening. And obviously, there's not been a lot of upgrades on that marina in several years. The docks are very low. The water is rising. I put $5,000 of some minor electrical upgrades in my first year that I was here. And this year, we're doing some more. I think it was $12,800. And it's not going to fix the problem. You know, the water is going to keep rising. In order to keep our marina safe for everybody, we're installing those new GFIs. And that's what we're starting the process to do that. But right now, the policy is, and this is through two electricians and Chief Duncan and Dale and myself, we have met, and also our electrical inspector for the township, that we're not going to risk, you know, any electrical shock out there. So if the water level is above the docks, we have to turn the electric off. Okay, so our boaters are suffering. A lot of the boats have to have the electrical. Many have bought generators. Many have worked with us, which is great. Pier 1 is if you all drive by, is the one that was raised, not by myself, but I believe the project was done by the tenants that were on there. This was years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how that was done and who did it. But my plan right now, I'm getting some quotes to raise the docks. It's a very, very expensive project, but that's the only thing we can solve the problem, is to raise those docks up. I've talked to a couple electricians. We thought about putting the electrical up and over. They're not big fans of that. So I am working diligently on this. This isn't an overnight fix. The water kind of came in right when we opened, and we didn't expect those things to happen. But raising the docks is a very expensive project, and I may be coming to the board just as Mr. Duker did and saying I might need some help as well. So that's coming down the pipeline. But I'd like to get an idea of how much it's going to cost. I have no idea personally. So, but that's where we're at. Obviously the electricity is off. The only dock that has electricity right now is Pier 1. So that's where we're at. Any questions?
Again, it's not my place to offer suggestions on this, but I know through my kids' rowing experiences, we've gone to a lot of different facilities. Last year in Canada, in St. Catharines, we noticed at one marina they actually put floating docks just above the regular
One of the
docks.
options, we're looking into that too. Mm-hmm.
I figured as much. I just wanted to hear it.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
So, and that's what, that's why you have Hearst Marina and these other companies and all of that. Obviously, Hearst is usually there when I need a log pulled out or, bridges flying up and down that river. So, but there will be several quotes from different companies. So we have an idea what we're dealing with. And floating docks is one option that I am exploring. So, any other questions? Okay, that's all
Carol,
I have.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, good, Jim. Mr. Nelson.
Understand that that's a jewel on this island, that marina. It does make money for recreation. We did lose a few tenants because of the water issue. I think a couple of them came back, but we need to do what we have to do to keep it up to snuff because it is an area that does generate revenue, and obviously we need revenue. So thanks, Kim.
There aren't many places. I mean, Gibraltar Boatyard, when our docks are underwater, their docks are underwater. It's, the water isn't selective.
No.
So, anyway, thanks for the report. Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Okay, Mr. Bletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I sit in 3 different commissions. The first report in alphabetical order is from the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Commission. 3 matters. Number 1, we are going to be doing an inventory of all of the crossings where the bike path crosses over vehicular traffic, whether it's roads, highways, or anything else that may present an accident for bicyclists and cars coming into contact. Anticipate doing that inventory this week, and we'll be sharing the results with Mr. Ream. It was brought to our attention by Tom Snyder, that resident of Rucker, that there is an inconsistency. We have a sign at Lake Road that tells everybody on the path to stop, but we don't have one on Rucker, which is the first street to the north. So we're going to do an inventory to try and make that consistent, always with the idea that bicycle safety is first and foremost. Second of all, we've had a lot of input from Rec Director O'Farrell regarding Bellevue, and I expect that we're going to be able to meet with Dale Ream and Kim and Brian Pollock, the chair of BPAC, so that we can examine whether or not that is a good idea and makes sense. Kim is giving us a lot of information and some ideas amount of traffic that goes down Bellevue on bicycles, and we're certainly going to be looking for Chief Murdoch to be involved in that as well, so that we can make a decision that's both responsible for the needs of the community and, most importantly, the safety of the community. So we're going to be looking for the manager, Kim, Brian Pollock, and Duncan and myself to sit down sometime next week and try and make that happen. The third matter is the bridge and overlook maintenance. We do have the bridges on the bike path over Frenchman's Creek, over the area directly in front of Marian School, and again on the bridge that crosses the canal between Ferry and Lowry. We're going to be looking for the board to approve contracts, hopefully at our next board meeting, for those projects. Second commission I serve on is Greenways Open Space. I regret to say that we do not have a closing on the Tittle property to connect Ferry with Gage because the title company apparently has come across an issue with Clear Title. So our due diligence means we do not go forward until we have that resolved, and we're not going to go forward until the title company says we believe that this is 100% clean and good to go. There will be no meetings of Open Space Greenway in July and August unless we do have clear title, and then we can start making plans for the trail between the reconnector between Gage and Ferry. Third commission I have the pleasure of liaisoning with is the police department. We do have one thing that's new, and that's Officer Counts has completed bicycle training, a 40-hour course. You may see Officer Counts on the bicycle in the community. It gets us closer out of the cars and onto the streets, and hopefully more contact with the citizenry. If you see Officer Counts out riding around, stop up and say hello to him. He's very approachable, very decent man who has a very good work ethic, works very hard, and is going to be getting a lot of exercise on that bike. That's going to be occurring, however, at a time when we have a full complement on that shift, so we're not shorting anything or anyone. Response times we expect will be the same, but Officer Counts is very approachable. Walk up to him and say hello, and just thank him for some of the work that you see that he's doing. Second thing is our reserves. We now have 10 volunteers and 3 cadets. Those volunteers and cadets worked a total of 270 hours in May, including work on the Memorial Day run, the SWAT training at the school, the Bike to School Day, and Island Fest. Those are volunteers. They are supplementing our force. They are making our community safer, and they're making Island Fest safer. They do a great job, and they're out there regularly scheduled for those events, plus when we have down power lines or we have issues with weather, those kinds of things, they are there. We had an open house that last month that included approximately 350 to 400 guests. We like to do this every several years so that the community, young and old, can come and see what your public safety is all about. And it was a success. Felt very good about that. On the other hand, we have way too many impaired drivings. For May, we had 9. Our monthly average is 2.5. April, similar numbers, and the numbers are high. They range from 0.11 to 0.24. 0.24, most of us would be on the border of passing out. There are people out there that have been driving like that. 0.11 is well above the state limit. Please, you can Uber, you can family, you can friend, you can neighbor. Please don't drink and drive. Nothing makes the commission, I think, happier than we come in at the end of the month and have a report where we had nobody that was drinking and driving, because that means our accidents are going to be down and it's a safer community. Please do not drink and drive. Next, in terms of the regular report, our officers drove 15,600 plus miles in May. We had 15 alarms, 28 rescues, 84 911 calls that we responded, leading to a total calls for all categories of 1,066. We issued 192 verbal warnings. We don't just write tickets. We tap you on the shoulder and say, please, slow down, use your turn signal, follow at a greater distance. And our animal control officer answered 57 complaints for service. We had 1 Groseal dog that was picked up or surrendered. We had 1 Groseal dog that was returned to its owner. We had 1 Groseal cat that was picked up or surrendered, and 1 Groseal cat that was returned to its owners. We had 3 cats that were adopted out. And we consider that a success because we don't have a lot of cats, a lot of days, a lot of dogs, and a lot of dog days in the shelter. So please, be careful out there. Thank you for your support, and look forward to bringing to you a coyote safety program next board meeting. It'll be a form of a presentation, and we want to be able to have the community understand the do's and don'ts with the coyotes. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Bletcher. Let's move on to, the Township Attorney, Mr. Sorty. Nice and quiet. That's good. Mr. Riem.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I have a few items to report to the board and community this evening, and item number one is an update from DDA Director Angela Secokis, who has a family commitment this evening. Remind everyone the concert on the Commons every Sunday. This past Sunday it was great. We had over 100 people in attendance, plus the community grow gardens did well with their veggie sales, and Tin Can Coffee was there for everyone to enjoy. The markets start at 6 and the music starts at 7. So again, that's coming up this Sunday. And a few meetings ago, I explained to the board the licensure requirements and the status where Margie Gape was with the assessing. Today was her exam for the online statistics course, which has been going on for, I believe, a month and a half or maybe a month. And that's completed and passed, and she has one more class till she gets her next level certification. It's an industrial and commercial appraisals and assessments, and that is a actual course where she'll be in a classroom setting for an entire week, followed by an exam. So it's a great achievement. And, I'm accused of not tooting our horns well enough, so, but nevertheless, it's something I wanted to share. And along the lines of Trustee Bletcher talking about the bike path bridge repairs and maintenance, that we'll be talking about the next meeting. We received the bids for the observation deck rebuild at East River and Macomb, and that'll be coming to the board next session. The Township engineers reviewing the bids. The bid opening, the number was different than the budget, but the engineers confirmed it's actually lower than the budget. There were options and different things and different, wow, it just started raining, ways that it could be evaluated. So we're looking forward to getting that completed. It will be a total rebuild of the deck. The deck will be completely removed. All the steel will be cleaned, primed, painted, and a new deck in kind will be replaced back on top. And that structure was built in 1991 or 91. So we're looking forward to that. And our summer meeting schedule is July 8th, July 22nd, and August 12th. And Ted Fournier, Brian Friel, and Angela Secokis have been working on our Grosville Connect update, and I'd ask Mr. Friel if he would care to share the items and timing and schedule with you. Thank you.
I thought you were going to help me out.
Friel? Deputy Clerk Friel. Go ahead and raise it.
You're going to have to raise that. I don't know how well this is going to show up on here, but we have a new app that we plan on launching next week. We plan on launching it on Monday. As far as Google goes, it takes 1 to 2 days for it to show up in their store, and then with Apple, it's 3 to 5 days. So by the end of the week, everyone should have it available to them. It will update automatically. Oh, I'm sorry.
Zoom in on the on your phone there.
As far as the update, it'll automatically update once you have it plugged in and connected to Wi-Fi. If you don't have automatic updates on your phone, then you'll have to actually go to it and update it manually. As far as new things to the app, obviously it looks different. It's much more updated than compared to our old one. We've added a section for push notifications because that was probably our biggest complaint. Well, every time we're going to put in a policy, Dale and I have talked about that if you put out a push notification, you'll have to copy and paste it into that section. And then we'll put on a date of how long we feel they should be there before we then delete them. I'm thinking probably a week at a time. We usually don't put anything out longer than that. Besides that, we're trying to work with we're going to talk to our department managers about updating their sections personally. So as far as the clerk's office, obviously there's our staff, and then everything that we have on our webpage is accessible through our app. Okay, and that's we'd like pretty much this to be an extension of our webpage. You don't have to go to our webpage; you can just go to the app. Obviously, the webpage is there. It's a functional thing that can cover a little bit more than the app, but the majority of things you do, we can actually get right on here. Okay, so that's pretty much that. Anyone have any questions on that? So we're pretty excited about that. All right.
How many? 6,000 signed up? 6,000, something like 6,000 plus?
Oh, no.
Customers?
We are over, I want to say we're close to over 8,000 right now. So we're going to probably take a slight possible hit here for a moment and then pop back up.
That's close to 100% coverage. That makes that a very useful tool. Okay, moving on to Supervisors Report, and as always, I'm going to be all over the page of everything that's been going on. The first bit of news that I pushed out was regarding the EPA here on Grosse Ile. They might be staying on. House Bill 3055 included some constraints about moving EPA offices and when they needed to be here, and there's another portion of it that Representative Tlaib was unhappy with the sulfur emissions or something that she wants them around. Essentially, we have our two local representatives who want to keep them in the area to do their jobs. So, unfortunately, it has to go to the Senate next, and there are presidential objections to much of the bill, which I think will get sorted out with the Senate when their concurrent bill gets worked over. So where it goes, I don't know, but I think it bought us some time to keep them here where we can keep them working. So anyway, that was a bit of good news, hopefully permanent good news. Saturday morning, we were Ann and I, over at Westcroft Gardens they have an event there, the Community-Grown Garden Market, the Island Market. I just recommend everybody stop by there. Westcroft Garden, of course, it was the Chamber of Commerce kind of morning. It was just a gorgeous day. They'll be doing them every Saturday morning, 9 to 12, through August 24th. So the Community Grown Garden Project, locally grown, organically grown vegetables, produce, a variety of other vendors and crafters, fresh sourdough bread, which I've had, fresh eggs, which I didn't have, and it's a tin cup coffee more, but it's just a nice event. And while you're there, you're probably going to buy in some flowers or something too, but it's just worth, it was just a great morning well spent. And also, depending on what you're interested in, last Saturday they had a tutorial on growing tomatoes in our island environment. I don't know what it'll be next week, but there's all sorts of, you sit through a class and learn how to become a better gardener, clean up that black thumb that some of us are cursed with. Anyway, it's local. You don't have to worry about bridges. You don't have to worry about. It's just a great way to spend the day, or half the day. Okay, Ms. O'Farrell covered a little bit on the water levels. I had a presentation from the Corps of Engineers on emergency management and riverine and shoreline flooding. And I learned how to read their charts, the Corps of Engineers chart. We are currently at, this is really nerdy stuff, at a datum of 574 plus feet. The baseline is 569. So we're well above the averages, and you can get into real nerdy stuff. So one is in International Great Lakes datum, and the other one is in the North American Vertical datum of 1988. Nerdy stuff, but that's what I used to do. But on their projections, we're already higher than they'd projected a month ago, and my background, I don't see the water levels coming down. With all the rain we've had, the colder weather up north, the snow melt is only beginning, and it's probably going to be mid-July instead of end of June before the water levels start receding. So, which is my segue into the next part, is we procured another large lot of sandbags, and we have 1,000 sandbags from one of our residents who happens to work for the Corps of Engineers. Good to have contacts. And we have 10 yards of fill right now sitting over at where Duker's going to be rebuilding building 61, 62, but it's there for yours. Pick them up at dispatch, fill them yourself, and you might be able to save something in your property. It's there for you, and hopefully you'll take all the fill. We don't have to sweep it away later this summer.
Brian, quickly, is there a limit on the number of bags?
We like to pick them up at 20 at a time. 20 is a full day's worth of with a shovel filling a sandbag, and if you still have some energy left, go pick up 20 more and fill 20 more. But that's a lot of work. But they're there for you. Covered the water jet power. Oh, please, boaters. We know the water's high. We've thrown this out. Please, if you got to get up on plane, throw a wake, get as far away from shore as possible, because we are getting shoreline damage. We do have a 1,000-foot no-wake zone around the island. Believe it or not, we've never enforced it. Wayne County will enforce to 500 feet. Don't make us pay them overtime to get out there and start enforcing it. So just use common courtesy and common sense. Get your boat farther away from the shore before you start throwing your wake, and give it a chance to dissipate before it hits the shore. Hazardous waste, more fun stuff. Wayne County's next hazardous waste, and there's some of these flyers in the back of the room, but the next one is Saturday, June 29th, coming up. It is at the Second Ebenezer Church on DeQuinder in Detroit. If that doesn't meet and there are flyers for this, the next one after that is Saturday, August 10th at the Westland Shopping Center. Again, there are some flyers in the back, and you can also get it at the Wayne County website. The bridge. We had our last bridge meeting, 21st. We have another one coming up on this Friday. Can I give you in terms of update? The inspections on the Mesa Island East River Road Bridge that connected to Mesa have been completed. That'll be a design build project. We expect that to begin October-ish. I want to thank everyone. We took some proactive steps to get people to slow down to cross that bridge. I've been observing it. People are slowing down for the most part. And thank you for taking that seriously, because all the engineers said that your vehicle hitting that bridge at a higher speed puts a shock load on and really accelerates the wear. If you slow down, go at a nice, slow, even speed, the bridge has a way of distributing the load, really preserves the life. So they may not be able, if they don't get to it in October, if they don't get to it next spring, let's do everything we can to preserve the life of this bridge. There's 300 some odd residents who are counting on that. And we did send out a letter to the residents of Mesa and Hickory Islands, to all the addresses, asking them to observe the lower speed limit. The lower speed limit and the reduced weight of 18 tons will ensure the bridge remains safe prior to the reconstruction project, and police presence will be in the area. So please follow those advisories. 5 miles an hour, it only slows you down by 8 or 10 seconds on your travel. So keep the bridge safe. Continuing the Grocio, the big bridge, the Grocio Parkway Bridge, it's a design build project, and they think they will have a contractor selected in July, with work on the piers, phase 1, to begin possibly in November. Just to refresh your memories, the half of the piers were built by the railroad in 1873-ish, and the other half were built in 1929, 1930 by Wayne County, state of Michigan, and some federal funding. The county piers have settled. The railroad piers have settled after 150 years of service. They're going to be, the intent is to stabilize them, get everything leveled out, which is why they're taking all the laser measurement shots to make sure it comes out level this time. And it just makes sense to get all your supports finished, leveled, stabled, and then start working on the upper structure, which will begin sometime in 2020. And the replacement actually to the West River Road overpass will happen concurrently. So if there's going to be a lengthy closure, and we don't know the amount of time estimates, but I would count on, I'm just going to throw out 90 days. I know, hopefully I'll be way wrong, but that's what we're looking at. That will be sometime summer of 2020. No long-term closures are anticipated before then. And I don't know, maybe we can negotiate they start after Island Fest. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And I'll know more on Friday. And that concludes my report.
Brian, one final thing. I would again encourage everyone out there that's a boater, in light of this week's activities, please be careful when you're boating. Kathy Walker is not here tonight to talk to us about We Kayak or the kayak tragedy, where people are dying every year. But again, please be careful out there on the water. Be very, very careful. The water is approximately 63 to 65 degrees, and that's lethal. And those currents, particularly with the high water, are different than they've been in decades. Please just understand what you're getting into and be very careful.
Thank you. And I'm going to everyone take a second. We have a beautiful rainbow out there to the south. And before I open up to public comment, everybody get settled down a little bit. And I'm going to open. Ms. Mega, you've been waiting patiently. I'm going to invite you to speak. And since you're the only one qualified to speak and the only one here to speak, so Ms. Mega, the floor is yours.
Mr. Supervisor, if I may, that is not a rainbow. That is the halo over Mr. Friel right now.
Well, from this angle,
the light is good.
Thank you very much once again for all you do. I sent an email to all of you on July 18th. I did not get a response. My plan is for the next meeting to submit an actual action item agenda request, if you would consider adding it to the agenda for next time, to discuss the possibility of setting up a town hall or series of town hall discussions on the McLeod Steel matter. It's an area of big interest. I watched Riverview's city council meeting on video last couple weeks ago. Brian Kelly appeared before them, answered extensive questions from all the council members. There was people in the audience who wanted to ask questions too, and they couldn't because it wasn't a town hall. It was like this. It was a meeting. But I think it would be an excellent opportunity for people to. We had over 50 people here, and people are concerned about it. It's still a matter of concern. Some of the things that I pointed out in my email to you was that the resolution was a fantastic start, but there's a lot of important questions about addressing our right to get safely on and off the island in case of a medical emergency. It's been pointed out in prior meetings that the amount of ambulance runs off this island are increasing with the aging population. That puts us more at risk. We need a safe way for people to get on and off the island, regardless if it's intermodal shipping or not, whatever industry. So I can't stress enough how important I think it is to be proactive on this issue, to keep saying again and again to Trenton how concerned we are about this, how much the citizens do not want an intermodal shipping port. What are our legal rights to object to that, sharing the waterway and the bridge and medical reasons to get off the island? There may be some, or maybe there's not, but what else can we do as a community to make our voices heard and to seek, as a board, what can you guys do to seek the public's opinion on this issue matter more and find out what people are thinking and feeling and how we can proceed. So I'm just going to repeat my request again. I'll do it in writing and ask that it be put on the next agenda. And if you would please consider just setting up a date. I emailed Brian Kelly and said, would you come talk to us on Groseal again? And I haven't heard back from him yet, but yeah, he's a great guy. I think he probably would not mind doing that at all.
So, and normally I want to engage you because I want to know exactly what you would expect going into a town hall, and what you would expect to glean back from it. Now, I can't. I'm sure Brian Kelly will speak, but you're actually, by glean, there's some of the questions you're asking could only be answered by Trenton officials, and maybe I can answer some now because I spoke to the minister today.
Okay, well,
I'll tell you what we know. There is the zoning request by Crown. Crown has withdrawn its zoning request.
Okay.
So Trenton is considering they're reviewing all the zoning within the city because there's a lot going on.
Right.
And they previously had 3 industrial. They're thinking of ratcheting that back to 2 industrial zonings, and they might be bringing in another one for waterfront zoning. So there are moving parts right now that are beyond our scope. There's nothing going on. There is no zoning request from Crown in front of the Trenton Planning Commission. And there aren't going to be any because they're redoing their zoning. That's kind of where that stands. I guess I could get Scott to, would probably be willing to come over and maybe answer questions from Trenton's perspective. We could try. I'm sure I could talk Brian Kelly into it. He's just that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head what questions other people might have. I'm pretty sure Greg Karmazin could come up with some questions for him, and Groseal civic issues. What might come up with what they find? If they find X, Y, or Z in the water, or in the ground or the soil, how will that? Maybe he could just give us some guidance, or maybe we need to do some investigation ourselves on what we can do to amplify our voices and our objections to an intermodal shipping port. And how many people on the island exactly are against that? I mean, those are the beginnings of exploring the issue instead of waiting until it's already happening and then them saying, well, you should have said something a long time ago. Well, I know you said it in the resolution, and that's an excellent start, and I think people are happy with that, but I think people are still very nervous about what might happen there.
Well, we'll move forward to some extent. I can't make any guarantees. Maybe
it's a listening session.
Do we have a legal right to expect unimpeded egress off and on? I don't know.
I'd like to know. I would think it would be.
The supervisor and I talked a little bit before the meeting as well about this potential, and I think the concern is we don't know if we can provide the kind of information that, as a board at least, that you and the groups are asking for. So a direction that I think we were talking about going down is, rather than having a town hall type meeting, is more having like an informational forum, and we would invite some people to come and take questions from the community, people other than ourselves who will be better equipped to answer them.
Sure.
Are they mandated to come? No, but we can try. And I think that's what we're all interested in doing. It's right now with so many things changing, we're not really sure which direction to go into.
Right.
But I think we're all interested in putting something forward and giving our residents a place to go to voice their concerns and go on the record and so forth. So
okay.
I think we'll move in that direction with time. And Brian's keeping us up to date on what he hears from the leadership in Trenton.
Right. Okay. I appreciate that. I just, I got to be the bugging you about it. So
Judy, I don't think anybody up here is poo-pooing the idea that Crown is going to be putting and is committed to putting millions of dollars into a project without a significant amount of return. We feel, at least I feel, and I think Brian and Uta have articulated, that it is a moving target. What we understand they may have had contemplated 18 years ago may be different than when it actually comes here, but I think there's not a person on this board that believes Crown is going to leave that kind of money on the table or in the ground and simply walk away. So we share your concerns.
Right.
I think there's a big question as to what exactly are they going to do and where are they going. And as a supervisor has said, until we have some answers regarding the redistricting or the concerns about the rebuild of that area with something more concrete, I would love to be able to see it stop, but I don't believe that's going to be translated into real action right now because we don't even know what we're looking at.
Right. Yes.
I share your concerns.
And I agree that they're not spending that kind of money for a park. That's not going to happen. But if there is loud, persistent, consistent objection to an intermodal shipping port from Riverview, from Wyandotte, from Groseal, from the citizens all around, they may say, you know what, this is going to be more trouble than it's worth. If I have people, protesting here every day and getting sued and all the other things that let's just do X, Y, or Z. Obviously, it's going to be something money-making, but we don't have to let them do the thing that's going to cause the most harm to us, is the way that I look at it. So, all right, thank you for your time.
All right, so my caution, if you want something done, obviously, I cover a lot of bases, a lot going on. You got to nag me. Okay.
Haven't I been?
No, you're just getting started. You got to nag.
Okay.
You got to nag.
All right, I'll be back. Monday nights are, kind of boring.
See you July 8th.
Thank you.
But there's one more thing I would add to that too, and that is there's only so much that public officials can do in light of what you're looking for. And honestly, in terms of like protests and
oh no, I got that covered.
Exactly. So, that's where the sides either meet or converge, but each team has a role to play.
Yes.
But we're not going to be in a position to do something
Riverview
like that.
City Council, one of the council people is talking with one of the residents about creating a community action group. When the EPA was here, there's community involvement plan that the EPA is working on. So there's no reason we couldn't have a community action group subcommission or something started that is just responsible for being on top of this very important issue. So just thoughts of what other people are doing. Thank you.
See you on July 8th. Thanks.
Yeah.
I guess that concludes the public commentary. We have nothing else on the agenda. This is remarkably early, suspiciously early. But I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
So those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The meeting is called opposed? Okay, make it at 9:14. Call the meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for Mrs. Mager for coming tonight.